Hello, welcome to Nate's Noms. Super noodles. These things are delicious. I mean, I know that I'm someone who cooks like actual food and all properly, but let's not lie. These things are delicious. Oof. Ooh, that's a lot of, just looking at the calories, that's a lot of calories, but, well, let's not think about that. These may be super delicious, but they're not exactly fancy or interesting food, and they're not exactly hard to prepare. But what if we made them that? My plan is to take some super noodles and make them slightly more modernist and also slightly more fancy. I'm going to take the flavor packet and turn that into a little almost egg yolk that will go on the top of the noodles, which I'll cook separately, add some actual real chicken into it and some other seasonings and some vegetables, and hopefully it will come out as a pretty decent dish. To be honest, you guys have a bit of a spoiler about this because I'm almost certainly going to put the finished version in the thumbnail, so you know what it looks like. But right now, I don't yet. The core of this thing is going to be a process called spherification, which is one of the molecular gastronomy techniques where you take a liquid and you turn it into a little sphere with a membrane around the outside and the liquid in the middle, so you can burst it and it pops and the liquid's all in there, which just requires two chemicals, sodium alginate and then some kind of calcium salt. In this occasion, I'm going to be using calcium lactate. Even though it does a really cool effect and seems super complicated, with just basic measurements and a couple of warnings, doing this kind of stuff is really easy. So you can grab both of these chemicals online and you can start playing with making spheres of stuff yourself. And all of a sudden you seem super duper fancy on your next date night. And also, I'm not gonna lie, it's just a really fun way to play with your food. I really recommend you giving some of these more out there techniques a shot. If you like the theme of this video and you want to learn more about molecular gastronomy things, like, comment, tell me, and I will go through all of the various techniques that I've picked up over my time exploring that kind of area. But without further ado, let's actually get to making some fancy super noodles. So for this recipe I used 2 packs of super noodles. You can use any kind of instant ramen style noodle that you want. I separated out the noodles and the flavor packets, and I mixed 2 flavor packets with 150 milliliters of lukewarm water. Then I added 1.5 grams of calcium lactate. It's 1% by weight that you need. You'll notice that's a really small amount, so you need some quite precise scales to measure that accurately. After mixing calcium lactate, I thought that this would be too liquidy, so I added about 0.8% by weight xanthan gum, so 1.2 grams, just to give it a thicker texture that would be a bit more luxurious and a bit more egg yolk-like. You can see after I added the xanthan gum how much thicker this got. Technically what I did was reverse spherification because I added the calcium salt to the liquid I was turning into spheres, but even more technically it's frozen reverse spherification because I'm going to fill these hemisphere molds with the liquid and put that in the freezer. It needs to be in the freezer for at least 45 minutes. The night before I made a 1% sodium alginate solution, just mixing 10 grams of sodium alginate with about a litre of water. I left it there the night before so that it got rid of any bubbles because it thickens a little bit after adding the sodium alginate to it. I then took the sodium alginate solution and put it in the oven at about 70 degrees. Thinly slice the chicken into little strips and also slice any veggies that would go into a stir fry, so I used peppers, onions and carrots. Also put them into strips. You'll also want to mix some soy sauce, oyster sauce, mirin and sesame oil. I used a tablespoon of soy sauce and oyster sauce, a teaspoon of mirin and a teaspoon of sesame oil. Fry the chicken until it's nice and brown. While you're doing the frying, you'll want to put the noodles on and boil them for 1 minute less than on the instructions, and then drain them so they're ready to be added later. When the chicken's browned, take it out of the wok and add your vegetables in. Fry those until they are cooked through, then return the chicken to the pot. Also add the noodles and the sauce that you mixed. Stir that until it's really thoroughly combined and then take that off the heat and that is ready. By this time, hopefully 45 minutes has passed. Take out your sodium alginate bath from the oven and that should be nice and warm. And then you also want a warm-ish clean water bath. Take your frozen hemispheres of flavoring and drop that into the sodium alginate for 1 to 2 minutes. That should be enough time to form a membrane. Take them out of the sodium alginate and transfer it into the water. And you can see as you take these out that they look really cool and like egg yolks. Right, now that we've got all of the components, time to plate. throw the noodles onto the plate, and then just pop your flavor packet egg yolk on top. And ta-da, it's a super fancy version of a super noodle. And when you cut into the sphere on top, it will ooze out all of that flavoring that you can mix in with everything else. This was really fun to make, and I hope it was just as fun to watch. If it was, like the video and subscribe to the channel for more videos like these, where I break down some cool fancy techniques that I've picked up over time. And with that, I will see you all next time.